I am Todd from goodcleanfunlife.com.
And I'm Tony Russo from oceancity.com. And all sorts of fun stuff this week. We're going to get right into it. We're doing more social media stuff in case you're checking back in after having not checked in for a while. We also have microphones, and with any luck, the audio will be improved. And
I anticipate the audio being top notch.
And I think that'll be cool because cool audio is cool for cool people.
Right.
So let's get started right away with me going to Annapolis, or do you want to talk about what you want?
Let's get into what you get up to this week.
Okay, I went to Annapolis, Maryland, which is the state's capital. Right. I'm not from Maryland. But I mean, everybody knows that. You know the 50 states. You know the song. So,
right.
Anyway, and I got to lobby people. So they have like free booze and free food for all of the legislators and the lobbyists. And I was up there as part of my job at Shorecraft Beer. So I was up there to talk about, how beer is an economic engine, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And I want to kind of pat myself on the back a little bit because the Brewers Association was there and they had like talking points and stuff to give to the brewers, but the brewers, that's not their thing.
Right.
So I kind of stood next to the brewers and I'd say, oh, this is a legislator. They'll be voting on that thing. Remember that thing we talked about?
Right.
And a lot of times they'd be like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So I got to, and because I'm bad at it. And also because I don't respect the process, I would just walk up to people. Like if they said, hi, I'm a senator or whatever, I'd say, hey, am I allowed to lobby you? Is that what we do here? I say that to everybody every time.
Am I allowed to lobby you?
And everybody got a kick out of it. But there was some beer legislation that is
this the grain stuff that we talked about?
No. This is about if you want to go to a charity event, you should be able to bring your own beer instead of doing, or an educational event instead of doing, backflips. For instance, we had the beer tasting where we pair the cheese and the beer at the Clarion, and the Clarion had to buy the beer and then had to bill the breweries because the breweries were donating the beer and they were happy to do it, but they're not allowed to donate the beers.
Yes.
So, and then it turned out like two of the breweries in Delaware, like again, you find out these laws by accident, but two of the Delaware breweries, they're not allowed to give beer, so they're not allowed to get money back. And so they're going to build a distributor. It's just
and
a mess.
It's all hangover from Prohibition.
All
days,
Prohibition
right?
stuff, yes.
Distribution, all of that.
Right. And also
crime fighting in NASCAR.
Right. And well, yeah. But also they what happened is Prohibition came in like slowly, they slowly at first, then all at once. And that's a chapter in Delaware Beer, by the way.
I've picked the book up.
No, it's not out for another 5 months. But thanks for the but anyway, so there are just different laws that were put together to make it harder to get booze and also to get beer, but nobody realized that until it was too late.
Right.
But anyway, so RAR, for example, their Sixtels didn't show up, so they were getting cans from the bar to serve.
Right.
And I don't know if you know what a can of craft beer costs at the Bar Oak in the Lowe's Hotel in Annapolis, but I think it's like $75.
I'm sure it's at least.
That looked like the kind of place where I just say, "Oh, I just came in to pee," and then find someplace else to drink.
Right.
I mean, it looks like a nice place, and I did drink there, but I was on someone else's tab, so it's a lot. Always tastes better.
Yeah, the different choices are made.
Right, and so there was a bill coming up that would prevent that snafu from happening. And it was cool that it happened that night because they'd be like, why are you pouring out of cans? And they're like, and I'm like, well, because they couldn't bring their own thing. By the way, on the 22nd, there's going to be a bill coming out that if you sign it, then they can bring their own stuff and you won't have to ask these embarrassing questions.
So this might be could this be your future? Is lobbying?
I don't respect the process. I don't respect the people. I don't respect anything at all about that. You remember Mindy Burgoyne?
Yes.
Okay, so she was there and she was saying that we should partner up and we should do like a haunted brewery tour. I'm like, Mindy, I can't. I can't. She's like, there's a lot of money in it. I'm like, I'm sure there is. I'm like, but like I have like a low-paying job as a writer for a reason. It's not that I'm not qualified to do other things. It's just like I found something that I can do where I don't have to be nice if I don't want to. and I can pretty much do whatever I want. And I
Right.
don't have to lie unless I feel like lying. I don't have to lie for my job.
Right.
And if you're going to be a lobbyist or a politician or any of that, you do have to lie for your job. Although I don't know. So sometimes the temptation's there, or maybe open a church.
Yeah.
Same thing. Just like the
Ooh, yeah.
temptation is sometimes overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's that. So that was my trip to Annapolis. It was really, I only have to do it 3 or 4 times a year. So
Well, and so you're up there on the behalf of small breweries. We've talked about Sam from Dogfish, kind of pounding the drum or beating the drum about independent breweries not getting taken over. I thought it was interesting after the Super Bowl.
right.
Peyton Manning, big beer, dropped Budweiser twice.
I know.
Dropped Budweiser before God and Country or something.
Right. He's like, what are you going to do? Well,
I'm going to drink a bunch of Budweisers.
And now I don't want to cite this source, but I'm gonna.
Okay.
Very
BuzzFeed said.
No, worse.
Oh, no.
Not worse. But more unlikely to come from me. Bulldog said on the radio. My boss was supposed to be on the radio, and so I tuned in to see what she was going to be, but she wasn't but then I got bored, and so I stopped.
Yeah.
But that Monday, he said that Peyton Manning didn't get a nickel for the
that's what I have heard in other.
And I believe him.
Yeah.
Right. And I believe him. But I have 2 theories. Theory number 1, he wants to get paid by Budweiser.
Right.
But theory number 2, I can't imagine the kind of mind fuck that it is to be in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
right? And it's Peyton Manning, and no one thinks he's coming back. And
Right.
so he's like, in the back of his mind all week, he's like, well, if I win, they're going to ask me this question. I probably should be prepared to answer it.
Right.
And then during the 4th quarter, it's like, oh, we are going to win.
Right.
I really should be prepared to answer this question. And he's like, I mean, he's a football player for a reason, And he's like, okay, I just want to say something that's going to sound cool and is going to sound not like
the typical
like now I'm going to Disney World or anything like that.
Right.
And he's like, so what'll make me sound normal? Like,
right.
I just want to go get a beer. No. I just want to go get like a Budweiser, like a man, like a salt of the earth beer, not just any beer. Right. But I think that's the more I thought about it, I think that he was like, well, what kind of beer do people drink?
Because maybe he doesn't know.
Right. What does the everyday guy drink? I'll just say I'm gonna go have a beer. I'm gonna have a Budweiser. I'm gonna say I want to get a Bud. And then he's going through it in his head, and then the thing ends. And then they're like, what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna get, what did I say? I'm gonna get a beer. I'm gonna get a Budweiser beer.
I'm gonna drink a bunch of Budweisers.
Right. And so he was, I think it was just him trying to be cool.
Yeah.
And failing.
He said it twice, and then you say it the second time, and then it comes across as like forced, and then that's when everybody
right. So but my first belief is that he wants to get paid by Budweiser. But if it's true that he doesn't want to get paid and didn't get paid, then I like my theory of he was just so wrapped up in making sure he said something manly,
right?
Instead of like, I'm just going to go get a beer. Like, he didn't want to say it's Miller time. That's probably what he was thinking in his head.
Yes.
He's like, okay, I can't say it's Miller time because that's going to come off like Miller's paying me.
Right.
But if I say, oh, I'm just going to go get a Budweiser or something, and that's, I think, failing all like Sherlock Holmes said, right? And once you remove everything that's impossible, whatever's left, no matter how improbable, is the truth.
There you go.
And so that's my take on Peyton Manning.
I think that's pretty good. And I mean, to transition from Budweiser, whether they paid or not, they're also the enemy,
right?
in the craft beer world. And it was a great article that you shared about Stone Brew,
right? But before that, an article that I also talked about last week on the beer podcast, and I don't want to turn this into a beer podcast, but it's something worth thinking about, is the Brewers Association of America shipped him a case the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and let's say, hey, you know what?
Try some of this.
Yeah, you know what? We hear you like Budweiser, and good for you.
Yeah.
But there are other beers out there. As a matter of fact, you live in Colorado.
Yes.
Where you can't twirl a dead cat without hitting a world-class brewery. So here are some of the beers that you'll find around in the neighborhood, and then a couple other ones you'll find. So they said some really weird stuff, and they said like, this is some weird stuff, and some cool stuff. So, and some normal stuff. So they sent like Samuel Adams, but they also sent like sours. And so
maybe he actually wanted some
craft
craft beer. It's like, if I say Budweiser, all these small guys are gonna, send me stuff to try.
But they responded in a class way, which is why I wanted to talk about that before we talk about Stone. Because rather than doing the whole, like last year with the Super Bowl and everybody going nuts over the Budweiser commercial, I thought it was poorly played on the craft beer part. And I think they may have thought so as well.
To call out Budweiser last year.
For having and so this year they sent a nice letter. They said, hey, we think you have, and they're like, you know what? We're not just about taste. We're also about class. And we're not going to talk about how Budweiser's crappy. We're just going to say, hey, you know what? There's other stuff out there.
Right.
And we think you'll like this. And, maybe next time you'll say, I'm just going to go get a beer, or, I'm going to enjoy a craft beer. He's probably not going to do any of those things. But they hit back in the right way.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the other story, if you'd like to talk for a little while so I can breathe.
Sure. Yeah. The Stone Brewer out in California came out and said, basically called out the plan that big beverages are doing. I didn't realize that Ballast Point had gotten bought up by the same company that owns Corona.
Right.
And has come out and said, we are not for sale, period.
Right.
And, there's been some talk about the beer bubble, bursting. He started out small, and now there's 400 breweries. And where are they in California?
No, there are 400 in California.
In the San Diego, or
right?
The surrounding area. Like
we're approaching 5,000 in the country. There 4,500.
So he was talking about, it started
out 400 when he started.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now the the numbers are so great. It's the same thing that Sam and Brian were talking about when they did their collaboration with Panther Cumbersome.
Right.
And so big beer is going to be approaching smaller breweries to try to buy them up and to get, and leverage that power.
Right. And this is how it happens. And he made kind of like a veiled reference to it, because I don't think he wanted to call out too many people. But what happens is you want to open a brewery and you get investors. And this is what happened to Wild Goose. And then Budweiser comes along and says, well, we'll give you $1 billion for your,
right?
Because that's, we'll give you $1 billion for your brand. And you're like, no, I got into the brewing to brew, and the people who have your investors are like, yeah, I'm sorry for your troubles,
right?
But I gave you $100,000 last year, and if I can walk away right now with $200 million, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's that's a good deal.
And that's the first part of the bubble. But I don't like the idea of a bubble for a different reason. And I think that has to do with, it's about leverage. Just as I was saying, it's about leverage, and it's always about leverage. People are like, if the quality goes down, we're past that now. Like, that was the story 4 years ago.
Right.
We're up over the quality hump because, frankly, most people know the difference between what they like and what they don't like,
Right.
And what I've been preaching for so long, and many of us who are in the beer promotion industry have been preaching, is, try a bunch of stuff, find what you like, and then, drink what you like. And that's our drink what you like and be happy. That's
right.
That's our kind of our motto. And now they are. And now people know that I'll try this, and if I don't like it, I'll try that. They're not going to taste all flavors.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, oh, well, this is, the malt is different in this beer than it was. No, it's just not going to happen. And I don't believe that that Budweiser is in a big rush to, they're like a machine. They're not like I don't see that. I don't see the same plan that the brewers
that they think.
It's just this is what we do. We buy breweries. We look at our bottom line. We look at where it should be. We look at where it is. We see what we have to do to fix it. It's not. I don't think it's nefarious at all.
Right.
Although I feel it's evil. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's as evil as business gets.
Right. But that's just, Coca-Cola does the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. They all do the same thing. AB InBev is scarily large, but they didn't get scarily large by accident.
Right.
They do what they do well. I think we may have talked about it on a different podcast, but they fly in their beer from Japan. This
right.
So no matter where you have a Budweiser on the planet,
it tastes the same.
It's gonna taste the same.
Yeah.
You know, so they make that effort. It's not, again, it's not nefarious, but it's kind of creepy.
Right. Big buying power.
Right. They have a lot of buying power. And, you know, and so what I said in the post and what I say in my real life is I rarely drink beer that was made more than 100 miles from my house.
Sure.
That is where we're going to see, like, people like me, though, could be the problem, because that's where brewers are leveraging so that they can have distribution. They want to have wider distribution. They want to have wider distribution so they can grow. And everybody feels like, well, if I don't grow, then I'm going to get bought up. No, if you say, buy me, then you're going to get bought up.
Right.
You know, but if you're happy with what you're doing and you're doing a good job and you don't over leverage yourself, you can be open as long as you want.
Right.
You know, the people at Third Wave, you know, they just made a big leap, so they're growing a bit, but they've got solid financial backing. Like, the ownership owns it.
Right.
They don't have like in major investors or anything. So as long as they don't try to jump up too big, too fast, you know, they could just sell beer in Del Mar and do fine for themselves. Yep. I probably bought one of their, you know, I put one of their kids through college.
We definitely put, we're working on Brock or Natalie Brushmiller's college tuition. That's for certain.
Right. So drink close and you're fine.
Yeah. Know your brewer. Speaking of creepy but not nefarious,
all right.
The Grammys were on last night, and
they were,
and you watched them.
I did,
and I did not,
which I thought was odd, but you said is kind of par for the course.
You know, we're definitely music people, but we're small music people. Maybe like we're small beer people, you know, local and that sort of thing. But I do have something to say about that.
All right.
First of all, you tell me how the show was in your mind.
I was drinking a lot, and I was trying to be obnoxious on Twitter and spell things right all at the same time,
which can be difficult.
It was fine. I dug the Lemmy thing at the end. They did a tribute to Lemmy at the end. I didn't mind Lady Gaga. I have some snobby critiques that I'll probably just keep to myself, because everybody seemed to like it and she seems like a nice lady. I don't I don't know from Lady Gaga. You know, I've heard more Lady Gaga in the last 2 weeks because of the Super Bowl and the Grammys than I've heard in my whole lifetime.
Yes.
The 10 minutes I've heard of her this month is the most I've ever heard.
Well, one of the things that I found interesting is something that I've been talking about with and this, you know, brings to the content portion of our show, and the projection mapping is one of these other technologies that is really big and really cool. And from what I've understand, I did see it. I watched the clips this morning that she in a portion of her tribute to David Bowie had you know, what they're calling like, you know, virtual makeup.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they have stuff, and they're actually able to track. So they use a software and they have it programmed in, but they're able to live in a live feed track the face, and then basically put things on the face and have it contoured in such a way so that it looks like it's, you know.
Yeah, it looks like the Bowie, you know, is it the Changes one where he's got the red? That's what they did with her. But then they also put it on delay, and I didn't know. I know lots of things now just because you said that one thing. So I can tell you all of them now. So yeah, they did change her makeup, but they also put it on delay so she would like move her face and leave a
so it was a little
ghost.
Bit, yeah.
So like she went like this and her eyes, you know, but it looked like it didn't look by accident. It looked on purpose. And then she finished singing.
Yeah.
And then they went to a commercial. You know anything at all about that? Start me with the commercials on the Grammys, and we might be here for a long time. But they did commercial for she and Intel are partnering to do stuff like she may have helped design that.
Oh, really?
She may have helped pay for, or I don't know. She's apparently a genius. Maybe she actually did the programming. I don't know. But she's working with Intel to develop this kind of major software for live performances.
Well, I mean, that's where it's at, because, you know, we've talked about Facebook and Google and actually Samsung is putting a lot of money into the virtual reality stuff. The 360-degree camera, so it's immersive and you can get your, you know, VR glasses and live in the world. And then they have all these other applications. Another thing, the hologram of Tupac performing at Coachella. So like all of those things are happening. So we're looking at it on even in terms of local level. It's I've looked into the projection mapping stuff, and it's really not too difficult if you have the content. There are some easy programs out there that you can do to be able to. I'm not saying I'm going to do a Lady
Right.
Gaga show,
Right.
but just on stationary objects on a wall, you can have them. If
It's
you have,
almost like a reverse green screen. It's like next generation green screen.
right, so you have a blank shapes all over the place, and you can make those things dance on those shapes that look like they're in plane
That's cool.
with that. So yeah, so I mean, maybe even some of our clients will be trying to push that forward.
And one of the things we're gonna, as long as we're into content, and also because I want to yell a little bit about the placement in the Grammys, I think people should be careful. The Grammys were on CBS.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a show on CBS at all, you presented at the Grammys.
Yeah.
So it's like, hi, I'm Gary Sinise. I'm an actor, and I'm on CBS.
And
So I guess I'm here to present. Like, they looked a little confused. Like, there were some real. I guess. Well, it's LL Cool J. He must be on the show.
Yeah. There's a one of the multiple NCIS.
Right. And after a while, it became clear that only people who were on CBS
were presenters.
Were involved in this in any way. Like, I'm sure, like, I don't know enough because I don't watch television,
right?
But I kind of wish I did, because like when they cut to the crowd, I'm sure everyone in the crowd was like, "I'm with CBS," So it was. After a while, it gets a little gross.
Yeah.
And I think you want to be careful about that. I wrote a gross story last week because I was made to. A listicle. It was like 4 reasons to postpone Valentine's Day.
Right.
And it got some traction. It was okay, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
And but my boss is like, you need to write this to do, and I do what I'm told. I don't mind.
Right.
It wasn't awful. It just wasn't great. But I let it cook in my head for a little while, and then yesterday I wrote a different story about why you should come next weekend.
Okay.
But I let it cook rather than saying, okay, well, I'm going to write top 4 reasons because
it has to have it. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, let me just think about this. And the story is called. Looks like it's going to be a feet in the sand weekend or something like that. Right. Better.
Good title.
Good title. Solid prose.
Is it going to be a feet?
It's going to be like 60 degrees.
See? Perfect.
We might get, I'm sure, Sure Craft Beer Festival, Love on Tap this weekend at Secrets. We might get to 1,000 people.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be very, 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 and it's weird because like, this isn't really my bag. Like, I have to call all the brewers and email them and like, do this, do that, and they're like, leave me alone. I'm like,
yeah.
It's my job. I can't. But anyway, I'm sorry. So the point of this story is like the gross one. People are like, yeah, this is a little gross, and they didn't read it. This story is I put it up yesterday at noon.
Yeah.
Between noon and when I got to work today, we sold 20 tickets from that.
Really?
Page. So people are reading it, and then they're clicking on the stuff, and because it's not gross.
Right.
And I use Kelly's pictures instead of my own, which always helps because she's so much better at what she does than I am.
That's good. That's a good Todd and Tony's tip, or Tony's tip.
Yeah, don't be gross.
Don't be gross. And it's actually interesting because I read a report that in 2015, looking at all of those social media networks and that sort of thing, that the amount of content was up, which makes sense. More people are putting more things out there, but actual engagement is down. So I think people are being more, particular about what they are engaging with and more averse to gross things.
Right. And there's, I think there are 2 levels. There's, okay, I'm looking to buy a car.
Right.
Sell me a car.
Right.
And there's, I'm looking to know about Ocean City. Tell me about Ocean City.
Right.
And then there's like, I'm looking to know about Ocean City, and I try to sell you a car in Ocean City.
Right.
That's gross. And I think that CBS is a good example of how gross can get. And I think that it's telling that people are, because again, and this isn't a criticism of my boss, because we were just throwing stuff at the wall. Like, how can we get word out about this? And she's like, do a story about why you should, come next weekend instead of this weekend. Right. I'm the one, I'm like, well, if you wanted to get very popular, apparently people like listicles. And so I'm like, I'm like, do a listicle and see. But the idea to do the listicle was mine, and the idea for it to be gross was mine. And it was bad. You know what I mean?
But sometimes you have to do that to,
just so that But the idea is now that people, I don't think that they're engaging less. I think they're probably engaging with the same level of content that they've kind of always engaged in.
Right.
But I think that a lot of the extra content is gross.
Yeah. And thus people are avoiding it,
Right.
and that sort of thing. So yeah, we're doing the listicle video ads, or not. I mean, just 5 things that we see coming up in content for
Right.
2016 and that stuff.
If you want to reach content people, you have to listicle.
Well, and it's funny because I read an article in Forbes today, and my comment was, man, it's great to read an article in Forbes that I feel like I could have written, and but just didn't. But it's that, and the short of it is, or one of the things that I gleaned out of it is, if there's more stuff out there, people are averse to gross things. But you also have to have the quality stuff. Algorithms are changing all the time. You have to do the experimentation. You have to maybe try this or that, and so having somebody like ourselves who are immersed in stuff, and that makes a big difference, and that's hopefully bodes well for our business.
I think so. And one of the things that I've had success with, and I try to remember it, and the listicle debacle was a nice reminder of it. One of the things that makes me effective is that I reverse engineer it. I'm like, when I reverse engineer it, it works well. I'm like, let me tell you this story.
Right.
And then let me go back and put in advertiser links
yes.
or whatever's appropriate. I'm doing that happy hour adventures, and those always get a lot of traction. People love to read those stories. They love to share those stories. They love to see their local watering holes, especially, I did one on the horn and shell, which got a lot of traction, but the horn and shell is new. I did one on the green turtle.
Yeah.
And people love it. They're like, I love the green turtle.
Yeah.
And so there's the difference. So I'm going to do probably, Berlin this week. There are 3 places in Berlin that I haven't been. Well, I've been to the Globe. So I want to do the Globe, and I want to do Sikuli, and I want to do the wine bar. So I want to do like a happy hour, but the wine bar is only open on Saturdays. So I'd have to come here on Saturday.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, Saturday's not a bad day in Berlin.
No. All the days are good.
You should do the tavern at like midnight on a Saturday. That would be.
Didn't they?
That would be a story. No, not the tavern in Ocean City, the Burley Inn Tavern.
Oh, the Burley Inn Tavern.
Yes. Saturday nights on there are.
Yeah, we'll see. It's not real high on my list of places that I want to.
I'm sure it's high on my list of places I'd love to see you at.
I'm going to be like those old timey people who won't go to the Globe. I'm like, I like Goobers. I'm a Goobers guy. I like the old Goobers. I don't like the new Burley Tavern.
Right. Like I said, I believe in the greatness of people, and comfort is the enemy of greatness. So I like making people uncomfortable.
Yeah. I wouldn't be uncomfortable. I'd just be like trying so hard to bite back I don't think people. My wife, I was telling her, I said, I don't think you appreciate how hard I try not to be mean, because I kind of have like a reputation. I'm like, you have no idea. Like 98% of the things I think don't make it out of my mouth. Maybe 99%.
Right.
So, and that was the difficult thing about going to Annapolis, is like, well, I have to be nice. I don't want to, I have to make conversation, and, I don't mind making conversation. I just don't want to have to be, I want to be comfortable saying what I'm going to say what I want to say. I hope I also get to keep my job afterwards.
Right.
Which is why it's important to me to have, a job where, I might get scolded, but I'm not going to get.
You don't have to lie. You don't have to be gross unless you choose to be.
Absolutely.
Well, good.
Cool. What else we got? Anything?
Annapolis and Hulu is what I was gonna.
Oh yes, please.
I was gonna mention, just in terms of the future of television and that sort of thing. They just launched this new Hulu specific series, 11/22/63, and it's a Stephen King book that now J.J. Abrams has taken on to produce this. It's going to be a mini series, I guess. Right. But yeah, it's high quality stuff with names like J.J. Abrams and Stephen King, and then it's only available on Hulu. It's different from Netflix because they're just doing episodes 1 week at a time.
Right.
There's a lot of, like, you talk about the quality of content that people are putting out, and then the different channels that they're available on. This is something wholly new, and that's what I was watching instead of the Grammys.
Instead of the Grammys. You probably did better than it. It was just, I'm like, I don't know these people. I don't know what they're singing. I don't know why they're singing it. Yeah. It was difficult. I want to tag up on the Hulu thing a little bit, because something I also didn't get to mention from the earlier this week, I put someone on the internet is wrong, which is just like, the joke.
What?
There's a web cartoon called KXD XKDC or something, and there's a famous someone on the internet is wrong.
Oh.
Someone's wrong on the Swati SW, and it's about when you spend an entire day trying to convince a total stranger that they're a moron. And so what the comic is there's a guy sitting at the computer, and you hear his wife calling him and saying, I mean, they're stick figures. I'm guessing. It just seems like a guy thing to do more. But is saying, are you coming to bed? And he's like, in a minute. And she's like, what's so important? And he said, someone on the internet is wrong. And so I got into a someone on the internet is wrong fight about the craft beer bubble. The part that I left out of it, and the part that people aren't talking about, and the part that's important for Hulu and Netflix, and stay with me, because you're going to glaze over at the next word. Are you ready? Interest rates.
Oh.
Yeah. Was that in Forbes? Was that the Forbes story?
No.
Okay. Interest rates have been too low for too long, so people are investing more money in higher return things because they can't get normal investment money. The stock market is kind of overvalued,
right?
Or not. I'm not. Don't sell your home. Don't listen to me. But some people think the stock market is overvalued, so that's why they're willing to invest in Dogfish Head or new shows, because the return on that is significant. And that's why when they're talking about raising the interest rates, people are like, if you raise the interest rates, I mean, we have television shows we have television networks that people have started because interest rates were so low they couldn't get money back on their return. And so that's why they're kind of goosing that. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out when the interest rate starts to return, because people are going to want to get their money out of the beer. People are going to want to get their money out of good television.
Right.
I don't know if anybody will be left watching bad television. I mean, after seeing what's on CBS, I haven't watched, I didn't even watch football this year. I watched the Super Bowl. I watched maybe 2 games all year. Right. I listened to Mets games on the radio. I had a complete cultural blackout on television. I watch Netflix, but I've been a Netflix person for 5 years now, whatever. And so to see how bad television is, except for things that I watch on Netflix, The Walking Dead, and it'll be interesting to see. So when these people, they keep doubling down, and every time I hear about somebody doubling down on the new media, I'm like, all right, good luck.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry for saying the I word.
Well, hopefully somebody will double down on us before or not. We're growing. Yeah, we're growing in the very authentic way that we probably should be. So I think that's going to work out. Ultimately to be healthy and happy as a business as we're going.
Right. I think that I'm going to be able to start converting. I've been building up credibility in several different arenas, and I don't know how I can get anyone to give me money for it yet. But hopefully we'll be launching early March. The Ocean City podcast is going to be called the Ocean City Experience. And I've borrowed from Gastropod. I'm going to have hopefully people call in and tell their favorite Ocean City story, and then I'll interview people. So it'll be a regular interview show. And but it'll open up with something like beep, and then someone tells their story. Gastropod does that, and they do it well. So that's something that I'm hoping to try. And then of course the book podcast, the reading podcast is coming out in also early March. And then we're going to start a reading series there over at Saltwater Media, and that's I got a lot of fingers. I got a lot of balls in the air. I got a lot of plates in the spinning.
Yep.
It hasn't affected my paycheck one way or the other.
Not good or bad.
Right.
Maybe that's good.
But so that's all I got. How about you?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, may Todd give you the sense to live in a small town.
We'll see you next week at Happy Hour.
Cheers.